because the relationships then there'll be a time when time draws you apart. Matter, it's still functions. So now we'll say, thanks for coming, Spalding, and...
Now we're going to talk about the play that the class is all familiar with, Who Killed Spalding Gray, which is Daniel's most recently published play. In this play, Daniel, I feel that you take meta theater to a whole new level by inserting yourself. You name the character after yourself. Mm-hmm. Is this the first time that you've done this in a play, named yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Can you tell us what the impetus for that was?
Well, I wanted to honor the process of Spalding Gray, who played himself. And so I felt that I would replicate that process, that approach. And also the story that I tell is a true story. The story that takes place in San Rafael is true. That all occurred. So which is what Spalding Gray did, which is he told stories of his life.
Great. At the time of writing Who Killed Spalding Gray, you were going through, it seems in the play, of an active personal crisis. You were looking for something.
Yes. Well, I've been going through an active personal crisis most of my career, but they just look different.
But in this case, you documented it for yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I present it. I present as myself. So this is this question that we had talked a little bit about this idea of the meta of me. But then you had mentioned in one of the little breaks we have that your identity, mm-hmm. and the idea of identity and mm-hmm. how it plays. And so I'm identifying as myself. Mm-hmm. But I'm also repeating it exactly. And I mean, I think it's funny to read it. If you were to watch it, I think you might think I was just making it up as I went along to some extent. It feels very spontaneous in its performance. And so I think people would be surprised if they came back again and realized, oh my gosh, he's doing it exactly, the ums and the pauses and the mistakes. And there's a sense that I'm performing myself. It's not absolutely authentic because I'm repeating it night to night to night to night, mm-hmm. which then raises this interesting question of, well, who am I? And I feel I'm absolutely being authentic with you, absolutely authentic right now. But I wasn't like this when I was driving up here in the snow in my car with all the stupid drivers who were not letting me get ahead of them. I was a very not nice person, but that was also me, right? You know, who am I? Am I that person? Am I this person? Am I the person who's repeating this night after night? And I think I must be all of those people, which then opens us up to this fluidity of identity, which I think is very important and interesting conversation forever for all of our classes and in all of our lives.
Yes, absolutely. And to document yourself and identify this character as Daniel McIver puts one of those frames on it. And is a really great example of how identity works in the end, because we actually do that with ourselves, whether we're doing it on the stage or not. So thank you very much for elaborating on that. But in this play, we get the sense that you have struggled with addiction in your life, and that this character is in the midst of this struggle himself. And so there's, as you know, because you read the play, he is asked to kind of go clean in order to take this spiritual journey. So one of the things I want you to think about in this play is how these ideas of the paranormal, of the monster, of our own monsters, of our own demons, alcohol, addiction, how all of these things are kind of working in tandem, I think.
Yes, and also the alcohol is referred to as a spirit. It's a spirit.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. because it ignites something in your spirit. It's a spirit, and then that's about an energetic reaction, which is, you know, and there's an essay that we've talked about I was recently at a class at Western in London where it was a sort of theater theory, and there was this question about subjectivity. How can you be subjective? And it was quite heady. I'm not an academic, but so when I approached them, I approached them by saying, to me, theater is I said, have you ever seen a dead body? And some had, and I said, so and the dead body that you saw, was that someone that you had known in life? And they often it was. And I said, so you understand then that the dead body isn't just still, that there's something not in it. If you've seen a dead body, you know there's something. It's not the same as someone sleeping. It's something missing. And I say that theater is about the thing in the body that's gone. That the thing that's in the body is what theater's made of. And that's what theater's made of, not only in terms of what is happening on the stage, but the relationship between the thing in the body with them and the thing in the body with us, the performer. It's a spiritual journey in that way. It's an energetic journey. And so that, to me, opens me up to the idea of the paranormal or the metaphysical, and the idea that, sure, they tell me I have an entity, and they tell me an entity is formed because energy is released from a body upon death. Well, that all seems like science somehow to me. So because I've been an addict and an alcoholic for so many years, I've been sober for almost 9 years now, so thank you. I'm aware of the way that I was trying to light my own spirit on fire, and because I've worked in this world, which is all about the spirit, I'm very open to the possibility of the truth of all of this kind of madness.
Spalding Gray told stories, and he said that they were true, but I'm not sure that they were. The first true story that he told was in 1977, and it was called Rumstock Road, and it told the story of his mother's suicide at the age of 52 in 1967. That went well, and so he told many more true stories. There were some stories that he didn't tell, and there was one story that he couldn't tell. And that story is about how he went to see the Tim Burton movie Big Fish with his son. And then after the film was over, he sat in the theater and he wept. And then he took his son to their downtown loft and he left him there with his stepdaughter and told him he was going to a meeting. But he didn't go to a meeting. Instead, he rode the Staten Island ferry for the rest of his life, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I tell stories and I say that they are not true, but I'm not sure that they're not.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not Spalding Gray. I am Daniel McIver. And once upon a time, his name, the man in the story, is Howard. Some people call him Hal, but Howard. And Howard, for reasons we don't need to get into right now, has decided that he is going to kill himself. So Howard thinks at some length about killing himself. Not if he will or if he won't, that's been decided long ago. The question for Howard is not if, it's how.
This is an excerpt from Spalding Gray's journal. And I just can't face dying forever and ever 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 in death. Forever and ever 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 ever.
Don't be angry. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
because the relationships are on two different sides doesn't matter. It still functions under the same rules. And the movement, you can see it as a relationship. The movement of time has brought the two of you together. And then there'll be a time when time draws you apart. So now we'll say, thanks for coming, Spalding, and see you later. And remember that Spalding Gray was a good-hearted man.
All that is to say that because of the nature of the way I've lived and the nature of the way I've worked, that it's easy for me to kind of believe all of it. And something that we had talked about as well is this, in belief and in faith of whatever sort, is an acceptance that one has an answer. But I don't go that far. And you've pointed out that the plays often seem to be more about questions than answers, which I would agree with. Because I feel that I've always felt that with an answer, what happens is we close, we stop, we shut, because we answered. But when we question, all the doors and windows open. And so I like the idea of leaving, coming and having a theatrical experience and leaving with a lot of doors and windows open, not with them closed. Because as soon as, it's sort of like if I tell you what the play's about, then it's only going to be that. It's not going to be about, if I tell you this is what the message of this play is, it can only ever be that. Instead of opening up a theme and a series of questions so that you can bring yourself and your own world to the play. Because we're asking questions and not like delivering answers, we're open to all the questions all the time, which is far more interesting than just my dumb 55-year-old cis white queer dude answer. I think that my 55-year-old cis white queer dude questions are far more interesting than my answers. So that's what is wonderful about this work, is it allows the questions to keep being asked.
And you make such an important point to keep asking the questions. And if I just want to throw on the end here that just something for all of you students to think about when you're working on your assignments and you're writing assignments and all of these, grueling tasks that we have to accomplish in order to get grades and to show that we learn things. I think if you really take a page from some of the great creative minds that we'll be meeting in this class, and thinking about this idea of writing towards. So remember when you're writing that assignment that writing writes, that you write the thing and the thing will start to write, and that it's maybe a little less daunting, as poetic and maybe, impractical as that might sound. I want to encourage you to try it. So rather than thinking, oh, I need to know exactly what this assignment is before I finish. So when you're writing your responses this week, I want you to write the writing. So think about how, what themes, ideas come from this discussion, and then just start writing and see where those ideas take you. Because in fact, we don't know where we're going most of the time until we get there.
That's right.
And that writing, even a critical response, is a creative process.
In some ways, I think of this about all the work, and I think a paper would be similar, is that the paper knows what it is, and you just have to serve it, and so if you give it an energy like it's already a successful paper that you just need to serve, then you're not kind of trying to control it in a way that just imposing answers on it that's kind of just bullshit because you don't know the answers. But if you just keep throwing your questions out, they'll start talking to one another, and there'll be a feeling of conversation in it that is truer than an answer.
Yeah. So trusting that you have the answers because you've listened to the work, you've done the readings, you've heard us talk, you actually know what you think about this. And you know what you want to write already in your response. Some part of you does.
And
so
any disagreement is part of what's true for you, or real, or whatever for you.
Yeah.
We're just trying to figure it out too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that you also embody your own critic. You will have different points of view as you write. So that the trick to becoming an artist, to becoming a successful student, to so many things in life, is to trust the process and show up. Show up. Show up for the writing.
Engage. Yeah.
Show up for the rehearsal, and keep asking the questions, right?
I'm all for it.
Nice one. Thanks,
That was
Daniel.
great. That was great,
Yeah,
Maureen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.